Mr. Marino from the Central Valley Flood Protection Board, and after Mr. Marino, Ms. Brenda Berman from Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. Mr. Marino.
Good morning. I'm Len Marino. I'm Chief Engineer with the Central Valley Flood Protection Board. I'm here today to make some comments, some real brief comments on the rulemaking process, particularly with respect to the regulations under Title 23. As you may or may not know, the Central Valley Flood Protection Board also has rules and regulations under Title 23 Division 1 Waters. And we had the opportunity to work collaboratively with your staff over the past week or so. We had 2 or 3 very productive meetings, and the goal of those meetings was to get some consistency between the rules that we have under Title 23 and the rules that you are proposing under Title 23. The purpose was to resolve conflict areas and consistency. We're all about consistency. So we have put together about a 5-page document, and we shipped that over to the Delta Stewardship Council earlier today. And I'm just here today to go over some of the highlights of that letter that we sent earlier today. So we tried to lay this out in the most helpful way so that you could respond to the comments and make it as productive as possible. So what we did was we took the outline of the Title 23 regulations that you have on your website, and we made bulletized comments to each section. And I'll be addressing those right now. Under Section 5001, we added a few definitions, and we proposed a few more definitions. Particularly, we wanted to have a definition of the Central Valley Flood Protection Board included in there, and we also commented on the Central Valley Flood Protection Plan, the goal of which is to make the reader of your regulations aware that these other entities exist. We also are suggesting modifying some of the definitions, including those concerning floodway, urban area, and urbanizing area. We also took a stab at helping with the definition of covered action. Quite a bit of comments on that, and like I said before, we did work with your staff on that, and the conversation was very helpful. When you get down to Section 5014, there was some language in there regarding prioritization of state investments in delta levees and risk reduction. There was a date in there that I wanted to call to your attention, which was listed as January 1st, 2015. And that was the date which the Council shall develop funding priorities for state investments in the Delta. The Central Valley Flood Protection Plan, the 5-year anniversary of that plan is July 1st, 2017. The board is suggesting that we somehow work with that date because that was the date by which the new Central Valley Flood Protection Plan will take effect. It will be adopted by the board prior to that. And that plan will contain elements of what you're speaking of in this section here, which is funding priorities and funding mechanisms for levee construction and rehabilitation in the Delta. So, as I said earlier, we're all about consistency, and I wanted to bring that date to your attention, that is probably the best date that we can promise at this point. Getting down to Section 5016, we made some collaborative changes to the language for the definition of floodways and floodway protection, and the same way in Section 5017. And in conclusion, I wanted to thank your staff for allowing us the opportunity to work collaboratively with them in helping to improve the regulations and attain some kind of consistency between the regulations that the Council is proposing and the regulations that exist for the Central Valley Flood Protection Board.
Mr. Marino, thank you very much.